Thank you, Yanni, and thank you all for being here. I know it's been a long day, and many thanks to the organizers for bringing so many passionate people about product and engineering here today. So, my name is George Mosquetas. I'm a product director for Kaizen Gaming. And when we talk about products, I always try to remind people why products are there. They are there to serve a customer. They are there to offer an amazing experience to them, the service that we get. And in order to do that, in order to pass through a customer journey, what normally happens is that you intertwine product teams and operational teams. So in the next few minutes, we're going to try and tackle how do you actually do that? How do you manage your product on a global scale to make sure you offer this amazing and memorable customer experience and on a global scale? Now, to try and put some perspective into the things we're going to talk about in the coming up, let's talk a bit about Kaizen Gaming. Kaizen Gaming is a game tech company. We operate in the online sports betting and casino world. We have two brands. One brand is Stichiman, and obviously due to linguistic restrictions, it only applies to Greece and Cyprus. The international brand is called Betano, and we currently operate in 14 different markets. We operate out of 3 continents, so we do consider ourselves a global organization. At the same time, our product is not global, so we do not offer a vanilla flavor of our services. We actually try to customize the product and offer a truly local experience on each of the 14 markets that we operate. The product vertical that myself and my team have the privilege of running runs through a number of customer journeys. And like I said before, you will see that they interact both with product and operations teams. So imagine the scenario that you want to register with our services. You go through the UI flow that the product team has created, you click on the CTAs, you click through the steps, but then when you try to verify your email or get the SMS code to verify your phone number, for some reason you cannot. There's a little "do you need help" button. And then you get redirected to an actual operational agent, one of our customer support agents. And they are there to actually give you that support and make sure that you do register with our service. Likewise, if you try to verify your account, because we need to verify that you're 21 and above to play with Stichiman, and you upload, the ID that you have had now for 20 years since you were a student, and you try to do that trick to unjam the door and unlock it with no success, that ID bears the marks of that attempt. And the OCR cannot read it, and it cannot retrieve your name to make sure that you register with our service. Again, it will fly over to an operational agent, a KYC agent, and with their own eyes, they will understand that this ID is a valid ID, and they will be able to pick your name up. Likewise, if you do a transaction, if you try to make a deposit, but for some reason the bank's API is down, or you try to make a withdrawal, you need your money. And if the API is down, then it is again a payments agent this time, that they will go to the e-banking environment and do it with their own hands and make sure that you get your money. But how do you make sure that you align what the product team is doing and what the operational team is doing? There's a ton of metrics, I'm sure you know them, and they're all very, very useful. But unless you find a way to align what the operations team are doing and what the product team is doing, they might be improving on their own. So imagine that the product team says, look, I've reduced the steps, so I have a smaller session. That sounds like a good thing. But what did it actually do for the customer? Did it achieve the goal that we looked out to achieve for the customer? Let's look at some real-life examples. I'm going to use the ones we already talked about. So you want fast account verification. The moment you decide that you want to use a service, you want to make that as fast as possible. So product has quite a few tools. They can put more integrations. They can increase their offering. They can improve the UI for the customer. They can add timely reminders for you to verify your account. And at the same time, the operations team, they can prioritize their tickets. They can reduce their handling time. And as a result, you take it from 70% registering within 1 week to 85%. Sounds good. Likewise, fast withdrawals. Also withdrawals for our industry, they're a major trust-building factor. Deposits nearly always go through instant, but when you've placed a bet and you want your money back. And in the banking sector, in general, in the payment sector, that is not that instant. So we need to make sure that the customers get their money back as fast as possible. Again, we can add new payment methods, wallets that tend to be faster than traditional banking system, open banking, introduce new APIs. Same time, operations team, they might use RPA to do the clickety-click of a NIM banking environment and make sure that they handle the requests faster. And in that sense, they have managed to achieve that instead of 40% of withdrawals being processed within 3 hours, you take that up to 80. But here's the problem. Is that a success or is it a failure? Product and operational teams, they run customer journeys. So when you have a journey, how exactly do you measure that? Was 70% bad to begin with? Is 85% good enough, so we've achieved the goal? Is 80% within 3 hours now positive for the customer? Or should it be 80% within 1 hour? We don't know. So how do you make sure that you measure and you align both your product team and your operational team so that when they're looking at their own KPIs, they actually both stand behind the same goal of what we're trying to achieve for the customer journey? The answer is actually in the picture. You need a compass. You need to build a compass, a northern star, for both of those teams to look into and to make sure that no matter what they do, no matter what tools they have in their weaponry, when they use them, they contribute towards that single goal. So the next question, obviously, is how do you build a compass? It normally comes down to do different things. If you have a product function that is revenue generating, that creates sales, the answer is normally simple and straightforward. It's your budget. So you have your budget from your commercial team. If you achieve it, thumbs up. If you overachieve it, well done to you. If you underachieve, you need to go to your product team and your ops team and see what didn't go as planned. But you have a customer journey, customer metrics, like we do in the case of the product vertical that we run. The answer is time. So you need to draw a line in time and say that this is time 0. And that is the time when you start measuring properly and with confidence, measure your product. And then you start measuring yourself against your previous self. So you always compare on one period to the next period, and then you continuously improve on that. And in doing so, you're bound to offer a good product. And you're bound to offer an amazing customer experience. So it doesn't matter if 70% was a good number and 85 was a good incremental change or not. Because the next period, you're going to go to 90. And the next one, to 95. On the next one, things get a bit tougher to improve from that point on. But like we said, this is to manage your product as is on time. But we added an extra complexity, didn't we? We added globalization. So when you manage your customer journey on a global scale, you add a second axis. So axis number 1 is time, and the second axis is the market. So remember, there is no global product in our case. It's a local product. So, Greek customers use Dias, Brazilian customers use Pix, Romanian customers use credit cards. So if you look at this fictional global product and you apply the essence that we talked about before, you're improving through time. So over the previous period, you have done well. So assumingly, you're doing well. But is that really the case? Because the global product doesn't exist. Take a closer look. The problem here is that across the three markets that we see, there are huge discrepancies. So having one market at 60% and another one at 75% is an outlier. It's a flag. It might be something normal, but you need to confirm that with your product teams and your operational teams. Maybe one is overperforming for some reason, maybe the other is underperforming. And you trust the manager, the product manager, and the ops manager to look at their metrics, see what went on, and try to fix it. Likewise, if you look at it through time, you do not want to see different steps. A step front, and then a step back, like you see in this case. So again, here you have an outlier, you have a red flag that you need to take to both of your teams. They need to examine, they need to find the root cause, and come back with a plan to remedy this. So what we're actually looking for is homogeneity. You need consistency, and you need your markets to converge. So in this inverted P shape, if you get improvements all over the place, that is when you know that you are properly managing your product on a global scale. So to sum up, product and operations nearly always go hand in hand when it comes to customer experience. We should never forget that, and we should make sure that both aspects are aligned towards the same goal. Normally, your compass is either your budget, or if it's not the budget because you run customer journeys, the answer is time. With time, you need to measure towards your previous self. So start measuring with confidence your product, and simply start from that point on, and you have the answer. If you have more than one market, or if you don't have a truly global, the same vanilla flavor product, then you also need to measure each market separately, because that is what your customers actually get to experience. Then, with these two axes in place, you need to constantly monitor your product. You need to look for outliers. You need to look for things that are not homogeneous, are not converging towards the same goal, so that your team knows what it is they need to look out for. And once you've done that, I'm pretty sure you're going to build a kick-ass project and offer an amazing customer experience to honor the clients that selected your service instead of any other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you.
It was very nice. I have an update. I don't see any questions from the audience. I have one if you don't have any questions. Okay, I have one question on my side.
Go on.
So you mentioned earlier how good is good enough for the numbers that you put, and it's over the time where now it might be 85, next 90. What if a team cannot reach that goal, and basically this is the most that they can get, or you can get from the team, because we know that product is responsible and accountable for these numbers, exactly for the impact.
That's actually a very, very good question. So in the instance that we checked with withdrawal time, you can actually give them the goal that I want withdrawals to be instant. That could be a goal, but the problem when you set goals to your team, they need to be ambitious, absolutely, but at the same time, they need to be attainable. They need to be realistic. So that is why I also mentioned that after a specific point of time, it gets very, very hard to do that incremental change. But that's why we're talking about continuous improvement, because if you have a team that took anything from 70% and they managed to take it into 95%, perfect is nearly never there, but I'm pretty sure they will struggle enough and they will find a way to take you to this 96%. And although they might not be able to do it now, technology is changing, services are changing, so something brand new might come up, and we've seen that. We've seen that in payments. A lot of people mentioned actually payments. We've seen that a lot. So we've seen instant SEPA in the EU. We've seen open banking. So if you've reached that peak, then I think you leave it down to technology to make sure that you get the extra little push that you need.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you very much, George. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for this.